At this pre-approval stage, you have to wait. You literally cannot do anything. You can't see any date or anything. You just need to wait and pray. Hi guys, if you are stumbling upon this channel for the very first time, then welcome to my YouTube channel. And if you're a returning subscriber, I need to apologize to you guys. I know I've not been consistent on this space. I have been having like a really hard time managing my time and making out time for things I love to do, such as this. I'm trying to like see how I can manage my time more effectively. So let's get into today's video. So you've probably seen the title of today's video and what we'll be discussing today. When you've gotten your admission letter, how do you move to booking an interview date? Today we are just going to be running through how you can like get yourself prepared for your visa interview as an international student. So I'm going to be focusing specifically on the United States. I'm just going to be walking you through the visa application process and how you can book your date as an international student. So specifically, I'm going to be focusing on Nigerian students that are moving from Nigeria to the United States to commence their program, whether undergraduate or master's or PhD program. So consecutively, I'm going to be putting out other videos where we are going to like discuss major interview questions that international students are being asked, and those questions will not specifically be for Nigerians. It will be general interview questions, but for this video it is specifically for Nigerians. So there are different visa types that the US give to like people that want to come into the US for whatever purpose. But as a student, you are to file for an F1 visa type. Visa type that enables students, foreign students, to come into the United States to study. Obtaining this visa, you need to be able to book an appointment where you appear before an officer and tell the officer why you want to come into their country, as the United States, to school, what your purpose is, and like why you want to. Basically, you need to just defend your claim of coming there to just school and not to like do anything else. So this type of F1 visa is called a non-immigrant visa, and that is because you are not migrating to their country permanently. You are only coming into school, after which you intend to go back to your country to like implement what you've probably learned and all of that. So it's termed as a non-immigrant visa. I would like to mention the fact that presently getting a good and early interview date as an international student in Nigeria is tricky, and you need to start early. You'll hear people say to get a good date, you need to start like 3 to 4 months. You need to start looking for a good date like before the interview date. But I would say presently you need to start like way more earlier than that. And that is because currently now in Abuja, the earliest date is like July 2025, and I mean this is just March. The earliest date you find is July. That's if it does not even like move down to like August. And in Abuja, in Lagos, the earliest date you would find is January. Like you can imagine, January 2026, not even 2025. So you see why you need to start looking for a date early. But there is an exception to that. There is something called emergency requests, where you can expedite your interview date. But in order to do this, you need to be able to provide certain documents as proof to show that you need to resume early, and then you need to apply for the emergency request. And then if it is granted, you can have like an earlier visa interview date. But I mean, if you can get everything done quickly, you can proceed like normally and get your interview done like normally without having to request for the emergency request. So after you get your admission letter and all of that, how can you start preparing? The next thing you need to look out for is your Form I-20. So Form I-20 is a document. It's usually like 3 to 4 pages, I think, depending on how your school files it. So your school is going to be the one to send you your Form I-20. On your Form I-20, you would have your name there, that's your full name, you would have the name of your university, you would have your COA. COA is called cost of attendance, your program start date, your program end date. You would have maybe certain extra information. There will be a space for you to sign on the Form I-20 and also put date. You would also find your service ID on the Form I-20 and some other really necessary information on the other pages of the Form I-20. But these are the other really important information you will find on the form. So when you get your Form I-20, the next thing to do is to proceed to make payments for your service fee. The last I heard about service fee costs around $350. I do not know what the equivalent in Naira would be now, but that is roughly the amount you should put aside for your service fee. And what do you need in order to make this service fee payment? I will attach certain links to this video in the description box for you to check. I would attach links to how you can navigate to the service fee payment portal to make your payment. So when you get to the service fee payment portal, you'll be asked to fill in certain information about yourself, your name, as it appears on your passport. You need to be very conscious of all of this. Ensure that your names tally. You'll be asked to put in your name, the name of your school, your service ID number. Like I said earlier, the service ID number can be obtained on the Form I-20 you are going to receive from your school. So you would put in the service ID number, and then they will generate a payment slip for you. So that payment slip, you need to take that payment slip to the bank to make payment. Or if you are using a credit card, you can get someone in the US to make payment for the service fee on your behalf. During my time, which was in 2024, when I wanted to make the payment for the service fee, I actually went to a couple of banks in Nigeria. They were all not making payment outside. They were not doing, they call it outflow. They were not doing outflow. They were only doing inflow. That means you cannot send money out, but you can only get money in through Western Union. So I really don't know what the situation is now, but if I do find out before posting this video, I will attach the information in the description box. But I had to find someone in the US to make payment for the service ID on my behalf. So after making payment for the service ID, they will generate a receipt for you with a coupon number. So you'll be requested to input that coupon number into your on the service ID portal, the account you created in the service ID portal. You'll be asked to input that coupon number. When you input that coupon number, it will generate a receipt for you. So that receipt is your service ID payment receipt. You need to keep it because it's part of the document you would need to take to the embassy when you are going for your visa interview. After you've made payment for your service fee, you've gotten your service fee coupon number, the next thing to do is to fill a form known as DS-160. So the DS-160 form, I'm also going to attach the link to take you to the portal where you would need to open an account and begin to fill your DS-160. When you want to start filling your DS-160 form, you would need to choose the location where you would like to be interviewed. So in Nigeria, there are two embassies you can be interviewed, the Lagos Consulate Embassy and the Abuja Embassy. So it depends on your location and also availability of space. For example, like I said earlier, in Abuja, the earliest date now is July. In Lagos, that's July 2025. In Lagos, it is January 2026. So it depends on your location. If you are willing to move to another state to get your interview done, you can decide on this. But in filling your DS-160, you would need to pick where you would want to be interviewed, if it's Lagos or Abuja. When you pick this, you would need to, they would ask you for certain information, your name and all of that, create an account for you. And that DS-160 account creation, when you are trying to create the account, they are going to generate a special number for you that starts with 2 alphabets, which is usually AA. So AA, then numbers, and it's also going to end with, I think, 2 alphabets. So in the form, they are going to ask you certain questions, like if you've traveled before, what you do, that's if you work, your NIN, certain just information you are familiar with. and all of that. It typically takes around 90 minutes to complete the DS-160 form. So after you've completed your DS-160 form, you also be requested to upload a passport photograph. The passport photograph for the US Embassy is usually a 2x2, 2 inches by 2 inches. So you can either snap a photograph and then get the soft copy and upload it. They usually ask for white background, or you can use your phone, take a picture and then go online and change the background and crop it to suit the US consulate requirements. After you filled your DS-160 form and submitted, some people do not submit before doing this, but the US Embassy advises to submit before proceeding to the next stage. The next stage is where you need to open an Avid account. An Avid account is the new visa booking website. I'm also going to attach the link in the description box to access the Avid's website. On the Avid's website, it's spelled AVITS. You would have to open an account. So when you kick off, you'd open an account, create password, and then you would need to generate a payment slip. If you just walk through the process, it's pretty explanatory. When you create an account, they would ask you for certain details. They would ask you for your DS-160 number. The number I told you starts with AA. They are going to ask you for that number. That's why you need to fill your DS-160 before you book, before you proceed to even make payment for your visa interview. So they are going to ask you for your DS-160 number. You are going to generate a payment slip. So there are different ways you can make payments for your visa fee. You can either make payments through a credit or a debit card, which is going to be a US card, because you cannot use I don't think you can use a Nigerian card for it. The other way is to generate a payment slip. The payment slip is going to contain a certain number, I think AMI number. I'm going to confirm that. That is going to be requested from you at the bank. For now, the only bank that accepts payment for visa interviews is First Bank. Visa interview fee is always fluctuating. The last I remember was 288,000 naira. So you should check before you make the payment. When you get to First Bank, they would ask for your international passport. So you need to take your international passport with you. They'll make a photocopy of it and then they would ask you certain questions. Just let them know you want to make payment for an F1 US visa code. They're going to generate another receipt for you with a code. You will take that code and go back to your Avid platform, impute the code. When you impute the code, it takes about 24 hours before your payment will be confirmed on the website. That's the Avid's website. Whereas I think it's usually a lesser period of time if you make payment using a credit or a debit card that's in dollar from the US. I think it usually takes lesser time. They said around 3 hours, I do not know. But if you make payment at First Bank, you need to wait for 24 hours. And I believe this 24 hours has to even is like one business day. Because if you make payment on a Friday, I don't think it will be confirmed until Monday. After 24 hours, when you go back to the website and you log on, you would notice that you've even moved past that stage to make it to the next stage. So the next stage is where you'll be prompted to upload your I-20, your Form I-20. There will be some other little information they are going to ask you to fill into. So when you upload your Form I-20 at this stage, you're going to be moved to the next stage, which is called the pre-approval stage. Guys, this is the stage where you need to pray, because unlike before, when you do this, you can just see your dates and book your dates. At this pre-approval stage, you have to wait. You literally cannot do anything. You can't see any dates or anything. You just need to wait and pray. And the reason you need to pray is because some people's pre-approval stage takes less than an hour. Like you just return back and you see that it has been approved. Some people's pre-approval stage takes 24 hours. Some people have reported that their pre-approval stage took 1 week, some people 2 weeks. So it depends. You cannot book a visa interview date until you have passed this pre-approval stage. So during the pre-approval stage, you're probably going to be reviewing your I-20 and your payments before they allow you. I heard of a couple persons, few people, it's not really common, where their pre-approval was denied. Probably there was an issue with their Form I-20 or something. But if your Form I-20 is good and everything, you should not be denied. So when you've passed this pre-approval stage, that is when you can book a date. So after it has been approved, you'll be able to see like the available dates. And then in picking dates, like I said earlier, you need to decide where you want to be interviewed, if it's the Lagos Embassy or Abuja Embassy. In booking a date, you need to select location. The location determines the date availability. You would see a part where there'll be a drop down, and then you can select location. When you select location, you will see the available dates. And then there's something you need to take note of. You can reschedule a date up to 3 times. Meaning if you book like maybe for July 2025, you want to be interviewed maybe on the 4th of July 2025, and then maybe in checking, because when you keep checking, even though you've booked, if you click on reschedule, if you find an earlier date and you want to reschedule, you can reschedule as much as 3 times. After that 3 times, you cannot reschedule anymore. So once you've booked a date, you would see the appointment. It will show scheduled. You have 1 appointment. If it's just 1 applicant, you would see the appointment time and day, and then you'll be able to download your appointment later. So that appointment later is also very important because it is part of the document you need to take to the embassy on the day of your interview. It is actually very important because that is what shows you are actually supposed to be interviewed on the day you are going at the time. And then the DS-160 form you submitted, you are supposed to print it out but not take it to the interview. You can just print it out for your own personal use. And it's good. I would always advise you print it out for your personal use. Why? Because you've written a lot of things. During your interview, your DS-160 form is going to be pulled out by the VO. The VO is the officer that is going to be interviewing you. VO is visa officer. It's good you are familiar with what you filled in your DS-160, because most times questions are going to span out from what you have filled in your DS-160 form. So also to point out, on the AVIT's website, you might get a prompt to change your password. When this prompt comes, do not panic, just change your password. So I forgot to mention that on the AVIT's platform, there is individual application and there is group application. If you're an F1 student and you are going alone, you're not married, that means you're not going with your spouse, or you are not going with your child, you should open an individual application. But you should open a group application if you are going with maybe your spouse or your children, or your spouse and your children. So you should also consider that during your application. So now that you've been able to schedule your visa interview date, you've downloaded your visa interview appointment slip, the next thing to do is to start preparing for your visa interview. Look out for my next video. In my next video, I'm going to be talking about major visa interview questions for F1 students. And in my subsequent videos, I'm going to be talking about my experience too, because I might not be able to run through all of the major questions and all in one video. So we might need to break it into 2 or 3 parts. Guys, if you found this video helpful in any way, and you feel it might also benefit someone else, I would really appreciate it if you share this video to your stories, your timeline, on Instagram, on WhatsApp, on IG, anywhere. It will really mean a lot to me. And if this video has been helpful to you in any way, please do also like this video, subscribe to this YouTube channel, leave a comment for me in the comment section. This video is as a result of a comment someone made about preparing for F1 visa, and I decided to take it up. If you want me to talk on anything, just let me know.